just says for it all. Oh, just kidding. Cut. Wow, you really put the shots to the test. The nipples are hard. Can you see them?
Definitely.
Pretty good. Touch my areola.
Wow. No. Welcome to Tailgate Talks. This is where me and Shane sit on a tailgate and we talk about fun fitness related stuff. And this week's episode, we're going to be talking about starting to run for training for a marathon, a 5K. Maybe you've never ran, maybe you're just running more, and a lot of the common injuries and roadblocks that you might encounter during the process. So Shane, why don't you tell everybody who you are and why we should even listen to you in the first place?
My name is Shane. I'm a performance specialist. What I do is I bridge the gap between physical therapy and strength and conditioning. I've got a master's degree in exercise science with a concentration in rehab and recovery. So everything that I went to school for, tried to build into one was bridging the gap between longevity and strength, but not.
Got it. So you see injuries frequently and your job is to diagnose and help fix that stuff through movement.
You got it.
Beautiful.
Got it.
Beautiful. So with all the people that you've worked with, obviously you've worked with athletes and varying different population types. Talk to me about maybe some of the common things that you see from runners.
Yeah. Going out there, starting without a plan, starting to try to hit their goals by next month, right? You know, the lack of building into a run. A lot of the times we get into, hey, I've got a 5K coming up, my first 5K in a month. I'm going to run my first 5K on day one, get my time trial, and I think every other day I'll continue to run a 5K and try to increase that time. Totally wrong. Everything has to be built up and progressed into, right? So the number one issue I see are individuals trying to reach their goals without a roadmap, without a program, right?
Got it.
You know, and then talking injuries specifically, I think the two most common injuries I see with runners are shin splints. I think most of us can relate to that feeling, which isn't even shin splints, and we'll get into that. And also knee issues, patellar tendonitis, to be quite exact. You know, so those two issues are what I see most come through the door and on my table for those starting to run.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just speaking from experience, those are the two that I've had, especially the shin splint stuff. So, yeah, I remember running and just that, man, I'd have to take 3-4 days off in between. So talk to me. You said you wanted to elaborate a little bit on that. What causes shin splints? What are they actually, and what can we do about it?
Yeah. So shin splints are the effect of actually splitting the shin, almost like hairline fractures going through. That rarely happens. If we were to do that, it's not like, okay, we're going to rest a couple days, it doesn't hurt, and I can go run again. It's because we're not dealing with shin splints. We're dealing with an underactive muscle on the front of the shin called the tibialis anterior. And that's this muscle right through here. You can see how it comes right up over that shin, and that's the muscle that should absorb all that shock we put into the ground, right? And a lot of the times we forget about this little muscle. We work on our calves more, right, rather than the antagonist, and the bone itself is absorbing that, and the body's picking up on it going, okay, I don't like this because this muscle's not strong enough, so I'm going to send this pain signal to you to shut you down. And so a lot of that feeling we get is false pain, but it's due to that muscle not activating and absorbing the tension like it should.
And that's why it feels almost like a bruise on the shin, because you're not actually, the bone isn't broken. It's just the shock from the constant running, your foot hitting the ground, and the bone is what's absorbing that.
The bone and the muscle really not turning on. Right? It's like going into a workout and you never worked out chest before. Can you go and do 100 bench presses? Well, in essence, that's what you're doing when you're running. Probably more like 1,000 steps.
Yeah, right.
You're doing 1,000 reps on a muscle that has never ever been turned on or strengthened. So of course you're going to feel those sensations coming through. But there's things that we can do to prevent that before getting into a running program, right? And so, which backtrack to what do you see wrong with most people starting to run is they don't have a roadmap for the running or the strength aspect before as well. We should have a foundation of strength before we think about going to run long miles, before we start thinking about putting miles on the body.
What are some strength exercises? What are some things that we can do to help mitigate those shin splints?
Yeah, so the best one, in my opinion, would be a toe raise. So it's inverted calf raise. Rather than raising the heels up and down, you're going to put your weight into your heels. You're going to lean up on a wall, and you'll just raise your toes up and down. And your progression would be to continuously move your feet out in front to make this movement harder. But all we're doing from here, we're leaning back into the wall. Go ahead and raise those toes up off the ground. Give yourself a good pause. See how that muscle came out and started to protrude? He's working it. That's what keeps our shin nice and protected. That's that muscle we want to absorb that tension as we strike into the ground. Go ahead and drop those toes back through. Come all the way back up. And I like a good 3-second pause with those feet up. Allow that anterior tib, that muscle right here, allow it to hold that tension, right? And drop them back down again. So remember, you're a runner. You do a lot of repetitions in your workout. We're trying to limit our repetitions, go through isolation movements and hold that position. Go ahead and drive them back up. Hold that position to allow that muscle to kick in and do its job and work. All right, this next movement, we're still working on that anterior tib. So we're negating that shin splint action that you guys are feeling so early on in your runs here. So as we come up through here, we're gonna grab something that we can elevate the foot off the ground so we can have a nice good movement as we go through here. Now a trick to loading this band up, okay? We wanna come underneath the heel and then you're just gonna crisscross. And by doing this, this is going to allow me to fully flex my foot without the band coming all the way off through here. And again, as you come all the way up, we're working this long anterior muscle here, this anterior tib, getting a good strength, supporting that shin bone itself so this can absorb the tension as well.
Now, how many sets and reps of this should I be doing?
Yeah, so very good question. With everything we do, the happy medium seems to be between 3 and 5 sets. So we can use that as a progressional variable as we continue on to the gym. So week 1, maybe 3 sets of 10 reps. And we want to continue to focus on that good pause here, right? Get that activation going without a lot of reps. And then week 2, week 3, we add a set each week, right? Or we can add reps. Very simple progression. Don't overthink it. More as we get stronger.
And should we be doing these on the same days that we're running, or should we do this separately, or does it really matter?
Yeah, so I like to do them before you run, right? You're pre-activating the muscle before you just start putting lots of load and tension into it. So prepping the muscle to fire before we put that force into it is definitely gonna make your run easier, smoother, and less painful.
What's another common one?
Yeah, that patellar tendonitis, that whole knee area there. I think that's just as common as these shin splints per se. And so again, the biggest thing, we're not strengthening the supporting muscles around the knee. So as we put that force into the ground, rather than the muscle absorbing that force, our joints and our skeletal system is, right? And again, the body picks up on it. The body has an immaculate protective mechanism to it. And most of the pain or injuries we feel are 80% overcompensated. Meaning, when we feel pain, we're not injured. The body's just like, okay, I don't like this because you're not strong enough. So this is what I'm gonna make you feel to shut you down.
Okay, so for the patellar tendon and the knee, what are some strength exercises and things that we can do?
Anything where we're pushing the last 30 degrees of extension in the quad. We're really focusing on that teardrop quad muscle called the VMO, vastus medialis oblique. This is what protects the knee, right? When we look at the ACL even coming into it, it attaches right up into the base here. Your patellar comes into here. But this muscle, and you can see, surrounds the knee pretty well. So this is what we're really building on. And the activation part of that muscle is the last 30 degrees of extension. Another good movement here, targeting that patellar tendon. So what we're trying to do here is take tension off the knee and allow this one muscle close to the knee, the VMO. Mike's got a nice big long one here for us. We're trying to activate this VMO to take tension away and absorb that tension with the muscle. Is in this first 40, 50 degrees of movement, there's no muscle activation going. It's just the knees and ligaments working through here. What we're trying to stay away from, right? We want to get the muscle to move this leg and absorb the tension. So we're going to come all the way out about the last 30 degrees of flexion. Now, and as you can see just in this position here, these bad boys are turned on. He's going to come up, a good 3-second hold, and slow on the way back down, and that's about good there, and drive it all the way back up again. Beautiful. And so it's a very small movement. All we're trying to focus on is this muscle here. Now, if he was in the upright position, this 30 degrees is very synonymous to what we run, right? When we run, we're never all the way up through here. So why are we going to produce a movement like that? We're running at 30 degrees to extension, 30 degrees to extension, focusing on this bad boy here to overtake the tension. Keep the knees healthy, train the right muscle group. And if you notice, good long sprinters, marathon runners, they have an over excessive VMO, vastus medialis oblique. Mike, I can't stop touching yours. Wow, it's so nice.
What should we look for in a program that's holistic, that includes that strength training?
Yeah, total body movements, right? Total body workouts, so not your typical bodybuilding split. The body works, especially when we run synergistically as one. So why are you going to do lifts to break down segments of the body? If you're really trying to keep your strength program relative to your goal in what you're doing, well, then you have to find those movements that incorporate total body movement.
Law of specificity, right?
Wow, that's fancy. I didn't even know a big bearded individual like you knew that.
I speak good. Talk to me a little bit about a split.
I'd probably put you on a 3-day total body strength workout. You know, and again, this is all also depending on time. We have to make this functional for our life as well, right? Now, if this program has you running 4 or 5 times a week, I might be inclined more to maybe 3, depending on if your body can handle it or not. But no less than 2. And I don't really think you need more than 3 if you're really tackling these total body workouts properly. So that honey hole, 2 to 3.
So I think another important aspect is if you are embarking on running or you're a runner embarking on a strength journey, is you're going to have to put one on the back burner while you focus on the other. You can maintain both probably at the same time, but you're not going to be able to increase both at the same time, or at least for a long period of time. Would you agree?
It's going to be an inverse proportion.
Right.
In the beginning, you're probably going to spend a little bit more time on strength and foundation and less on running. But as you get closer to when you're supposed to run, that's going to change, right? You're going to put more focus on your running, less focus on your lifting because your run's coming up close. And all we're doing is trying to lay the foundation in the beginning.
Any other considerations that you want to go over?
Yeah, the only consideration is as you guys watch this video and you see me spotting like a leopard over here, it's 97 degrees out, 99% humidity. And it's actually so hot, our camera shut down because they got overheated.
That's true.
Why there's 4.
That's true. That's why this angle, this one, you see us from over here. This one, we've swapped 2 or 3 times, put in the shade because it overheats.
That's how hot it is. Technology can't even deal with this.
That's right. Well, speaking of, let's go inside, cool down.